Good evening. New at 10, a Valley family is out of their home tonight after raw sewage water flooded their apartment. Tonight, the water is stopped, but the damage has been done. Thanks for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiva Devine. The family is now staying somewhere else while they figure out what comes next. 12 News journalist Gabriella Becerra is in studio with us. And Gabby, this family is worried that they'll have to just start all over again.
That's right, Mark Krebe. This couple tells me they lost pretty much everything they own inside of their apartment. But their main concern is the health of their 4 kids who were all home when the flooding started. Just to warn you, the video they captured of the damage is gross.
Right there, look at that.
The Thompson family woke up to this living nightmare Monday morning.
So I looked down and I'm like, we're flooding. And it was a lot of water.
Water pouring out of their laundry closet and quickly filling their apartment in Portalo at Papago, a community near 32nd Street and McDowell Road.
I tried to wiggle the knobs for the washer. It wasn't coming from there. And I'm like, I can't see where it's coming from. It's coming out of our wall.
Candace and Nelson Thompson say they tried to stop the rushing water with no success, resorting to using towels and blankets to soak up as much as they could.
And so I'm panicking because I'm like, it's going to ruin everything. It's so much water.
And at this point, you thought it was just clean water.
I thought it was just, it
It looked like
came
it was
out
just
clear.
clear water.
But then the water turned murky.
Poop, pee, toilet tissue, busting out like a fountain of youth, but it's fountain of feces.
Sewer water with visible urine and feces now covering the floor of their apartment, contaminating their furniture, children's toys, and other belongings.
We lost all of our stuff.
Thompson tells me he called the property management company repeatedly, even calling 911 at one point. But he only got through to someone for help when the leasing office opened about 3 hours after the flooding started. He shared his email correspondence with the regional property manager, who apologized for the inconvenience and said an on-site team is working to repair and sanitize the home. Thompson tells us maintenance stopped the flooding and shop vac'd the apartment, but they're waiting for a sanitation crew to come tomorrow.
Now the fans are in there blowing, drying, and there's no sanitation.
There's no
it's just
sanitation.
blowing
So what does
it
that
around.
mean?
In a later email, the manager offered to transfer the family to a different apartment on the property or credit the family a hotel stay up to $125 towards March's rent. But the Thompsons tell me they don't feel safe returning.
No, absolutely not. I do not feel
Not what
comfortable
we saw
going
floating
in at all.
around. Like there's literal feces in my kitchen floor.
The couple tells me they're concerned the apartment won't be cleaned correctly or water damage will lead to other issues like mold. But most of all, they don't want this to happen again.
I understand we're not paying a high amount of rent, but it's the little bit that we work hard for. And we should be safe in our apartments. Our apartments should be livable. My children should not be displaced.
And I reached out to the property management company today, but did not get a response. In studio, Gabriella Becerra, 12 News.
Gabby, thanks. Tonight, ICE agents are stationed at Sky Harbor. They've been deployed to help with ongoing TSA staffing issues caused by the partial government shutdown. The agents were there today, monitoring lines and helping with crowd control. Phoenix Councilwoman Ana Hernandez says that agents are expected to help in support roles and are not involved in the actual screening of passengers. It comes after Sky Harbor had to close 2 security checkpoints in Terminal 4 because of a lack of staffing. Democratic Congressman Greg Stanton was at the airport today, calling on Congress to fund the TSA.
ICE is not trained to do the work of TSA agents. TSA agents are specially trained. They know what they're doing. They're outstanding at their work.
In a statement, DHS Acting Assistant Secretary Lauren Biss said in part, President Trump is taking action to deploy hundreds of ICE officers that are currently funded by Congress to airports being adversely impacted. This will help bolster TSA efforts to keep our skies safe and minimize air travel disruptions.
New tonight, pilots out of the East Valley just learned that if they're flying into Falcon Field, they'll have to pay. The Mesa City Council just approved a controversial landing fee for the historic airport.
12 News journalist Chase Golightly is live outside council chambers tonight with reactions from pilots and flight instructors. And Chase, it sounds like this could stop them from using Falcon Field altogether.
Mark Krebe, some of them told us they're just going to have to shut down completely because of this. Now, the reason why the city council made this decision is because they said Falcon Field right now doesn't bring in enough money to be sustainable. There's deferred maintenance and projects that need to be done. So it was either creating this landing fee as well as increasing fees for other services at the airport, or have the Mesa taxpayer cover all these costs.
They just hurt the entire industry of aviation.
For flight instructor Stephen Devine, he says this is the end for him.
I'm a small business. I have 3 employees and 3 airplanes, and I'm going to go out of business. Unfortunately, this has killed me.
Starting in May, pilots will get 10 free landing passes every month, but after that, the typical plane that lands at Falcon Field will have to pay nearly $21. That's if they're based at Falcon Field. For those coming from out of town, they'll have to pay a little more than $24. On top of that, the city also increased fees for storage, hangars, fuel, and more. Flight schools that come here on a regular basis say this is devastating.
This is not just a small change. This is a threat to our survival.
Many, including Devine, speaking during Monday's meeting, say schools will be forced to move elsewhere.
Our students are going to leave. If the students leave, the local businesses are also going to lose revenue. The rampers are going to lose revenue. The tower operators are going to lose revenue.
Arguing this completely changes how Falcon Field operates.
We will become more like Scottsdale with larger jets and private aviation that will be louder and also more busy.
However, for those who aren't pilots or live nearby, their argument is if Falcon Field is in the red, those who use it need to pay for it.
This is a matter of fairness and financial responsibility.
Falcon Field must pay for itself and not burden the general fund, and that is the rest of Mesa citizens being taxed.
And this nominal fee is simply part of doing business.
After more than 3 hours of discussion, the City Council approved the change unanimously. Now, as for how much business will be driven out of Falcon Field, the city doesn't know for sure. They were saying about 10% during the meeting, but they said they won't know for sure until this starts again in May. Now, another point I do want to bring it up, because we haven't covered it previously, about all the noise that neighbors living by Falcon Field were hearing with all those flight schools going in and out. Some of them did speak tonight, but the city made it clear that that played no role in their decision. They said this all had to do with the sustainability at Falcon Field. We're live in Mesa tonight. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase, thank you. Well, the valley reached 100 again today, and we continue to track more weather impact alert days ahead this week. Meteorologist Chris Dunn is here. And Chris, it seems like that we've been hovering around 100 degrees all week.
Yeah, 100, 102, 105, 6 days in a row with record highs, and 6 days in a row at or above 100. We were right at that mark, 100 today. Normal is 80. That's where we would expect to be at this time of the year, but it has been anything but normal this year. 93 was the record. That was back in 1990. So we have another 100 degree day and another record high today. 5 more days of record heat. So that's going to make our extended stretch 11 days in a row of records. But we do have a hint of a relief moving in by this weekend. Here are the forecast numbers for tomorrow. This is for your Tuesday. 98 in Chandler, 100 in Phoenix. If you're not going to hit 100, you're going to be pretty darn close. And we have 5 days of record heat. And that 100 on Thursday, the record high, that was the all-time March record and the earliest we'd ever hit 100 in the year back in 1988. Of course, we hit 100 last week, so we beat that record. 102, 102, and 98 will be the final in the stretch of record heat on Saturday. Then we come back down to 95 on Sunday, and look back behind me. We have a pattern change showing up in the forecast. 84, 86, 83. That's closer to what we would expect for this time of the year. I'll show you how things are going to change up, and even a little chance of some rain in the forecast. That's coming up in just a bit.
All right, Chris, thanks. New tonight, Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell says that Republican County Recorder Justin Heap has provided her office with the names of 207 people for a review of their citizenship and eligibility to vote. According to Mitchell, Heap said 60 of them had cast votes. This comes a month after Heap announced potential non-citizen voters during a visit by then Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Heap relied on the federal SAVE database, a database with a documented history of labeling U.S. citizens as non-citizens. The county attorney will now investigate whether those 60 people really are non-citizens.
For the first time, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is explaining the significance of January 11th and its connection to the Nancy Guthrie investigation. That's the date that detectives had asked the public about during their search, despite it being nearly 3 weeks before Nancy went missing. The sheriff tells NBC News that the date initially came from Google. He says that the company said that this surveillance image, where the suspect does not appear to be wearing a backpack, was taken on that day. But Nano says that Google later took that back, saying that it's not sure when it was taken. It's now been 51 days since Nancy disappeared, and police have not made any arrests.